Faux Sung Elizabeth Cookye here. Thank you for tuning in to my first episode of the Faux Sung Elizabeth Cookye Show Season 6, unleashing the anime madness from the Gaijin experience on the Japanese home front. I just wanted to apologize and say sorry about that. There was some copyright license errors with my first episode. I was playing some music in the background. I own the original CDs to a lot of those Japanese anime theme songs that you heard, Cutie Honey, Kaze Kaite Kaito Jean, Mystic Eyes from Esclaflowne, the TV series. And so I had to put in a dispute that I am here in Japan and that I own these CDs, and these CDs are part of this region that I'm currently filming. So while I'm waiting for my dispute to go through and for them to legitimize my video, here is episode 2. This is called Finding the Shrine to Sailor Mars. So here, in the area where I'm at in Akasaka, Hotel Asia in Tokyo, Japan, I took some time walking around yesterday after my first filming, and I discovered a shrine. I believe it's a Buddhist shrine, Shinto shrine. I don't want to confuse it. It may be both, it may be one or the other, but I do know that I had to walk up a shitload of stairs, and reminds me of a Buddhist temple in China, but it is a Japanese shrine. And so I like to call this Finding the Shrine to Sailor Mars from Sailor Moon. The only thing is that they're missing the 2 crows that are stuck up in the trees, and I haven't walked into any shrine maiden yet. So I'm going to take you along on this adventure. Please enjoy this. If you have any comments, leave your thoughts, your ideas on this video as I continue to bring the Gaijin Otaku experience on the Japanese home front. And thank you again for joining me for another fun-filled episode of the Faux Sung Elizabeth Cookye Show, Season 6, unleashing the Gaijin experience of the Otaku specter on the Japanese home front. So right now, I'm standing in front of Hotel Asia in Akasaka, where you are joining me for this episode regarding Finding the Shrine of Sailor Mars. I repeat, Finding the Shrine of Sailor Mars. Some days ago, I discovered a Shinto shrine. I thought it was Buddhist, but it's a Shinto shrine, from which I'm going to take you on this adventure with me, the walk path to this shrine within the urban city. So above me you see these tall buildings. I don't really know what they are, but they're here. And I'm going to take you for a ride as we embark on this journey together in real time, walking to the Shinto shrine, or what I like to call Finding the Shrine to Sailor Mars. So one interesting fact that I notice about Japanese streets is that they're very narrow. There are all these little winding and sideway, byways, intersections that interlock with one another. Very reminiscent of a lot of the Japanese anime that I've seen on TV. Similar to like Sailor Moon, Tenchi Muyo, Gatekeepers, which takes place in 1978, and Cutie Honey, as well as a bunch of other anime that I've seen. These side streets are very reminiscent of the anime that I'm referencing. So a little bit about this trip. One of the main reasons why I made it out here was because I wanted to continue my search for rare items on the media home front. I've been a collector of Japanese animation and fine video games for quite some time. And within that, it can be very hard to find out-of-print media, out-of-print video games, out-of-print anime, just in general, from the 80s to the 90s, now that we are in the 2000s. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big collector of Japanese animation on laser discs, and that was one of my A+ objectives coming out here to Japan. Wanting to collect more laser discs for Japanese animation, and also wanting to give a new perspective what it means to be an otaku and what it means to be a collector. So here we are, we're walking down the street, very narrow. It's early in the morning, it's about 5 a.m. I'm an early bird, so I wanted to go and get as much footage as I can of these streets. They're just amazing. My time here in Tokyo has been fun-filled, it's been loving. I've enjoyed every experience about it. So back to the story. So for those of you who don't know, for all you millennials out there who are used to the current technology, I come from a time where there were no cell phones. There were just rotary phones at home. You hope that you reach your friend and that if they were home, you would make plans with them to go out, and then you would meet. There was no way to message unless you had a beeper, which came later. There was no way to call or text because the internet didn't exist yet. And the only forms of media was VHS tape, Betamax, CD, which came later, and of course going to the theaters to watch a movie. So when VHS tapes came out, there were 3 types of media. VHS, like I just mentioned, Betamax, and then if you had money, you could purchase laser discs. So what's the difference? Betamax was a higher form of VHS, but it was an industry standard version. You know, most studios would record the media on Betamax during the editing process, and if you too had money to afford a Betamax player, well, you had it, but Betamax couldn't hold that much media, about an hour or so, where VHS could hold up to about 2 to 2.5 hours. But the quality of the footage was dramatically different in standard than Betamax. But if you wanted the definitive version, then of course you got Laserdiscs. Laserdiscs was the uncompromised recording of Japanese animation at the time, from the 80s all the way up until 2002. It was analog recordings without any compromisation of the quality. It was the pure raw file. Now, of course, the time we live in is DVD and Blu-ray, and DVDs and Blu-rays now are the standard. But as we're getting closer and closer into the changing of technology, we're getting into fiber optics and digital downloading. Collecting Japanese animation and collecting movies is going to start becoming a novelty. This would also mark the end of Blockbuster Video, Hollywood Video, and just renting video in total. Not to say that it doesn't exist, it now exists in a different way. Whereas either you're going to download your video, or you get a red box video and then return the CD back to the vending machine. So what does this say about old formats in media? Well, if you're like me, a collector and an otaku, and you like this old stuff, you'll realize that they start to have value over the years because they become harder and harder to find. As I've started to collect a lot of the classics of Japanese animation, I've come to appreciate the raw files and the unedited, uncompromised quality of the definitive first releases of certain product released on Laserdiscs that totally far outmatch the quality of VHS and Betamax. And as a lot of these titles were originally released on those 3 formats, they were never re-released on Blu-ray or DVD. So that means, although DVD is said to be a higher format and Blu-ray is better than DVD, license renewals have become an issue over the past couple of years, and the only way to get the copy of a title that was released long ago is to either get it on that version. See what I'm saying? So that in itself has become a dilemma. And if you're interested in collecting things on the original format, then you can find this by doing exactly just that. So, how successful have I been in my endeavors? Well, the irony is that as soon as I had landed here in Japan, I jumped straight to it trying to look for laser discs, only to find out that some of the greatest places that deal with secondhand Japanese animation did not in fact have any laser discs at all. So Mandarake, Hard Off, Book Off, Animate, Liberty shops, secondhand shops here in Tokyo do no longer sell laser discs, Betamax, or VHS. I personally collect media on optical discs. So if it's not on an optical disc, I will not collect it at all. However, I did get a bit lucky heading over to a Mandarake in Nagano, specifically Nagano Broadway, which is another anime shopping district outside of Akihabara. I managed to find the last copy of Metal Fighter Miku, which I actually have the PlayStation 1 video game too. I was able to pick that up for a decent price, which was very inexpensive. And from doing so, I can say that that specific copy of Laserdiscs that I picked up was here on the Japanese home front. It has been a very enlightening experience to see how trends change in Japan. Might I add, trends change in Japan very quickly. One of the acknowledgments that I wanted to note is that Sailor Moon Crystal 3, Season 3, is already old. Whether it just finished on Hulu here in the States and was being aired at the same time that it was being aired in Japan, it is now old. And something can remain new for only about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month before a new trend is being set, and out with the old, in with the new. The one thing I do respect about Japan a lot is that when something gets old, it actually goes on sale, and the sale is big. I made out big here getting a lot of Japanese anime CDs from Book Off, Hard Off, and Mandarake. When they're trying to get rid of old product, they'll bundle a lot of the music CDs together and sell them off for like 400 yen, which is like $4 in American money. So, on to the next topic of discussion dealing with anime media, and why I also came out here. One thing to note is that if you're going to become a collector, get used to shopping online. I usually like to go through several proxies, but the top 2 proxies that I really love the most is fromjapan.co.jp and bai.jp. So I repeat, fromjapan.co.jp, fromjapan.co.jp, and buye.jp, buye.jp. Those sites are used to act as a third-party distributor that will help you purchase items outside of your domestic location on your behalf, as they will be almost like escrow. You pay them to get the item from China or Japan. Once the item gets received to their offices, then they charge you a handling fee plus shipping and handling fees for them to send the items to you. Once you receive the items, then there you have it. Or in this case, once they receive your shipping and handling payment, then they send the items to you. And that's how I've been pretty successful with getting some of the items through proxy services. Now, as proxy services are becoming more and more popular, one thing to note is the stipulations behind them that I really have enjoyed. So if you notice, for anybody who shops on amazon.co.jp, Amazon Japan, for some sellers and some distributors, will only like to sell within Japan. They don't want to sell outside of the region, which is okay, because if you use a proxy like Bai, which is evolving more and more every day, they have now allowed a button application that hooks to your Google Chrome, so that if you find something on another Japanese auction or another Japanese website, you can forward the link to them through the application app, and then you can go and buy it through Bai, their proxy, through them from that other site, and then it'll come to you like that. That is an amenity that is absent from Japan.co.jp, which I thought was an excellent move on Bai's part, I mean. I've been learning to take advantage of that new amenity, because far too often I found stuff on the Amazon Japan site and I couldn't be able to get it because that distributor didn't want to do business with the US. So now that Bai has this application part that hooks onto your Google Chrome, I'm now allowed to use Bai as my intermediary, give them the link, they find it, I give them the money, they get it for me, and then of course I get it myself, which is great. This has served to be wonderful. So we're getting closer. We're getting very closer to the temple, or to the shrine, I should say. This has been a wonderful adventure thus far. I hope you are enjoying it as much as I have. So a little bit of some background. This would technically be the third recording that I've made trying to get footage of this temple. I've been filming from a GoPro camera, in which when it overheats it shuts off. I wouldn't find out anything regarding the footage until I would return back to the hotel, only to find out that the information is no longer there. So now I've had to seek out different reinforcements by moving over to my Sony camera in hopes that I can go and finish this footage. It has been a challenging time recording media here in Japan. One camera that malfunctions when I buy it brand new, and the other which battery can only hold but so much life even after it has a full charge. Such luck, right? So we're almost there. We're almost there to the temple. This has been quite a fast walk, because dealing with this, I've had to expedite the amount of information that I regurgitate during the recordings so that my battery doesn't run out. So this lets you know this is almost like a time attack video recording wise. This brings you into my wonderful world of video blogging. So here we are, of course. We're now entering just about the main part of the temple. This is great. You can see that this is the main archway doors right there. This is wonderful. Let's get some perspective here. One thing to note, that these are a shitload of steps, and I'm assuming for the disabled they installed an escalator off to the side, which I'm going to show you. I guess at some point everybody deserves to worship God, even if they're disabled. They will escalate it there. Otherwise, if you're traditional like me and an able body, you can walk up these steps, which are quite a lot, as you can see. I'm going to hold a moment of silence as I walk up these steps to give refuge and homage to the people that control this temple. Thank you again for joining me on this adventure, finding the shrine to Sailor Mars. Note it's very early in the morning here, so the majority of the shrine maidens and groundskeepers are not out and about just yet. We're now here on the main grounds. Another flight of steps. Fosung Lisbeth Cookye without an appointment. Finding the shrine to Sailor Mars. I repeat, finding the shrine to Sailor Mars. We're now re-entering back into the main grounds area. This must be where the famous battle took place between Heihachi Mishima and Akuma. Tekken 7, Fated Retribution. This is post repairs from the battle. Faux sung Elizabeth Cookye without an appointment. Discovering the shrine of Sailor Mars. We are now exiting the compound. For all of y'all who have been supporting my videos, thank you very much for joining me for this fun-filled episode of the Faux Sung Elizabeth Cookye Show, Season 6, unleashing the Otaku Specker upon the Gaijin experience here on the Japanese home front. This has been a Goddesses Media production. Please stay tuned for the rest of the episodes to Season 6 as I continue to explore and express my world and experiences here with you on first-hand experience being here in Japan. Faux sung Elizabeth Cookye without an appointment. Finding the shrine to Sailor Mars. Should you have any comments, please leave them on this video. All your thoughts and opinions are most necessary to me. I do value them. Thank you so much for your ever-loving support. Zittai ume moku shiryoku. Zittai ume moku shiryoku. Absolute destiny apocalypse. Absolute destiny apocalypse. Say Cookie.